This is known as a card spring. It's by far one of the most visual and most spectacular card flourishes you can perform. It is so popular and iconic that you can see it in movies and even cartoons. Hi, my name is Josep Vidal, and in this video I will share with you all you need to know to learn this move in no time. So if this sounds good to you, get your deck of cards, sit down, and let's get into it. To perform the card spring, it's very important to understand first that both hands will have a crucial role whenever we spring the cards through. In my case, I'm going to have the right hand being the one that's going to spring the cards, and then the other one, the left one, that will be receiving the cards. I'm going to be breaking down the details and the actions both perform, and then putting all together so we have a general view on how the card spring should look and how it should be performed. So focusing now on the giver hand, the hand that will spring the cards, we're going to aim to grip the cards in this position like so. If you want a reference, if you saw other tutorials, this is very similar to what we saw on the ribbon spread tutorial as the Vidal grip. But in this case, it's a modification as we're going to add the index finger for some extra control and push. But if you feel more comfortable, you can also be adding the pinky for more stable and controlled grip. But in this case, I prefer to just have it like this. Here's something I would like to point out as a beginner. You probably will tend to grab the deck like so by applying the tips over the card, which it's not good because does not matter how much tension you apply, the cards will never get shoot out, at least smoothly, because the tip of our thumbs are preventing the cards to get shoot out. So what I'll recommend you is to get a balance in between having the tips as much behind as possible, so whenever you press the cards, they will get shoot out. And also in a way that whenever you create the tension, they will not get shoot out accidentally. So you need to find this balance. Once you get to understand and find the right grip according to your hands and to how it feels, now it's the moment where we try to break down the way we're going to apply pressure and create tension to again shoot the cards from one hand to another. So for that, we need to understand that the pressure is mainly applied from corner to corner. Of course, these other two fingers will be applying pressure, but these are more secondary. The main point of pressure will go from my thumb to the ring finger. Without the cards, it will look something like this, like I'm squeezing the deck, but as you can see, the main pressure point is being initiated by the thumb. So I'm somehow squeezing the cards against the rest of the fingers, yeah, from the thumb to the ring, middle, and index finger. With the cards, will look something like this. So once you understand how to apply the pressure and start to spring the cards, something that will happen is that you will start to spring the cards in a choppy way, by group. So to prevent that and to understand how to do it one by one, it is important that whenever we grip and apply the tension, we somehow create these air pockets here through each card that will allow us to spring through the cards one by one. Again, it is one of the things that it's more kind of a feeling thing, so I recommend you to try to practice by yourself, see how you can aim towards getting that. But as a recommendation, try to apply pressure with the thumb, like with the whole thumb, allowing some of the cards to get tense and also create at the same time this air pocket that I mentioned. Like this, what will allow us to have more control on each card, so we can start to spring one by one like so. Something I would recommend you here, in case you feel the whole deck it's too tough for you to create all the tension and create this rhythm, I recommend you maybe to practice with half of the deck so you can spring through, making it easier to understand the mechanics of it. So once you understand that, you can gradually add more cards till you get the whole deck. So once you understand how to riffle through the cards one by one, it's time to understand the role of the left hand, in this case, as it will be the one receiving the cards. We need to aim to create kind of a basket or a nest where the cards will fall. And doesn't matter how they do, they will always get square and they will not be spreading around, as we'll have our pinky finger here to preventing that. For that, as a reference, we're gonna have the starter grip as we saw in other tutorials. And if you see, I remove the deck and we open it like this, we are already getting the position we need to start to spring the cards through. And again, it's something that will come with a practice to coordinate both hands, but at least if you can get into the idea on how to position the hand, it will make a lot easier to put everything together. So now that we know the details and the actions to be performed with each hand, it's time to put all together so we can start to practice the card spring. And for that, something I'll recommend you is always start with a mechanics grip, as it will be ideal for us to transfer the cards to the other hand already by grabbing it as we should. And from here, also, I'll recommend you to practice the spring from one hand to the other with a very short distance, so we can start to understand how to coordinate the roll from both hands. There's a lot going on and it's hard for our brain to get used to it. So for now, it's better to just practice it from one hand to another so we can understand how we're springing the cards through one by one and also how the left hand is receiving them in a squared and controlled way. Once we understand how to do it in coordination and we create the rhythm needed for springing the cards smoothly, we can start to build up distance by maybe doing it a bit farther, like so, and eventually try to put more distance in between so we can start to get used to and make it bigger. In case you would like to perform the way I do it in the introduction, something that I should point out here, that this card spring is not as big as you imagine, because that was an illusion. Basically what I was doing is to spread the cards more or less the same distance, while at the same time moving my hands, creating a curve that in your memory, or at least in your eyes, looked like as a huge spring. And to do that is as simply as getting confident with the same distance, and once you're ready, try to add this motion, this curve that you will draw with your both hands from one side to the other. And if you coordinate everything together, in your memory or in your eyes, it looked like if I did a huge spread. Of course, you can do it a lot bigger, you can risk a bit more, but the more distance you apply, the less stable will be and the more you will tend to shoot the cards out. So look, if I try to do it as big as possible, you know, I have not much control, as you can see, because I'm collecting the cards in this way, which is not ideal. But if you want to make it for the picture, it looks nice. But if you want to do it in a performance, I don't recommend it, as probably the cards will get spread around. So again, if you want to aim to perform it as I did in the intro, what you need to do is to get confident with a certain distance, and from here, try to perform it in a coordinate way with both hands, so you can move from this side to the other, creating this little curve that will give the illusion that you're making a huge card spring. A detail I would like to mention for this, to build up distance in this kind of situation, I like to start with my left hand opening the spring. Once I feel it's long enough, then I start to close it, but at the same time I'm moving to the right hand. So what I'm doing is really following the other hand and creating kind of the same distance till it reaches a point that both hands meet together, creating the illusion that it went from one side to the other, like so, this big. But in reality, what we did is to transfer the same distance from the left side to the right one. So all together should look like this. I start from left and go to the right. The more you tend to delay this moment, the bigger you can do the spring, but again, as before, the less control you will have. So these are all the details you need to know to perform the card spring. If you have any doubts or questions, please don't forget to put them down in the comment section, as I will be very happy to assist you throughout the learning process. So now that we know how to do the card spring, let's move on to the bonus section. I'd like to start this bonus section by sharing with you what I think in the imaginary of all of us the card spring looks. And this is from one hand to another, but laterally. Of course, physics are present in this real life, so what will happen is that it will not look as ideal, but with some of the details and hints I'm going to give you, you will have enough tools for you to practice and try to get as close to this ideal image of the perfect lateral spring. And for that, we need to understand that gravity has a huge role here, as whenever they get shot, it will try to pull them down and flatten the cards, changing the trajectory and making for us a lot harder to catch them in a proper way and shoot them, you know, perfectly horizontally to the other hand. So for that, we're gonna change the angle in the way we spring the cards from one side to the other, like so, in a way that we are correcting this gravity pull. So when we do it, the cards will get as horizontal as possible whenever they reach the other hand. And it looks something like this. And additionally, I recommend you to add some extra push that will correct this curved trajectory that the gravity is forcing the cards to go through. The static version is not as good, so I also encourage you to practice by moving your hands from one side to another. So once you know how to do the card spring, you only need to change the angle a little bit and also apply an extra pressure, and you will also be able to do it horizontally. Maybe not perfectly horizontally, but very close to what the ideal image looked like. Finally, I would like to finish this bonus section and tutorial by sharing with you the weirdest but yet the coolest way on how to perform the card spring. And it looks something like this. It is upside down, there's no mystery in here. The only thing we need to keep in mind is to add some extra push, and having in mind that the gravity, as before, is our enemy here. So we need to play with the inertia of our hands and the way we build the distance to have full control. So whenever we spring, the cards will not get shot around. It's a very interesting move to practice and to play around with. As you will see, people get very easily impressed with this, and it will give you some of the extra muscle memory and some understanding on how to play with the distance, with the inertia, and also with the orientation, so it will get a lot better with the classic card spring. So that's it for the tutorial. I hope you like it, I hope you enjoy it, and if so, please consider subscribing, as in the future I'm going to be uploading many tutorials that will go from basic to intermediate to more advanced, so everybody will have a tutorial according to their level. And now if you want to keep learning with me, I let you hear this super cool tutorial that I'm sure you will enjoy. And again, if you like it, don't forget to give a like and subscribe for more cool tutorials like this. This is known as almost a card spring. This is known as dropping the cards with style.